Need a flashlight? I love flashlights. Today I'm going to show you my collection. My name is Gabe with Mighty Fortress Academy. Ever since I got my first flashlight as a kid, I have loved them. My wife might say I'm a bit obsessed, who knows. I've got all kinds of flashlights, from lower end, cheaper products that we use around the house, to once I became an inspector and needed some higher end, more durable, professional grade stuff. Today I'm going to just give you a quick review of each of them.
Erin with Mighty Fortress Academy. I'm going to show you our flashlight collection for home use, and then Gabe's going to talk about his more professional level flashlights. So I think you'll really enjoy some of the ones we have for home. One of the first ones that he oftentimes has on him, even when he's not working, is a little bitty mag flashlight. This is a pocket flashlight. Our girls have a couple of these on keychains that they love to put like on their backpacks for school. It's a lot of fun. It's not very usable. It doesn't have a whole lot of light, but they can come in handy when you're like in a car or some other small tight space that you just quickly need a flashlight. Another one that our girls absolutely adored is this one. We keep it down in the storm shelter. The cool thing about it is that it has magnets at the bottom, so we can just stick it to the side of our storm shelter and it just stayed on, which was awesome. It also has two options for flashlight. So you've got the normal beam on the end, and then you've got more of like a work light situation going. So when our girls were in the storm shelter, they were kind of scared because there was a possibility of a tornado, and this provided a ton of light for them down in our shelter, which just makes everything seem a little bit better. So that one's a lot of fun. Another flashlight that we love is this one that plugs into the wall. So the really cool thing about these is that they are never dead battery holders because they are always charged, which is amazing. You plug it into the wall, and then you've got a couple different options that you can leave it on all the time. You can leave it in a nightlight charge feature, or you can leave it off in a charge feature. So what's cool is if your electricity just goes out, then this automatically comes on and you can at least see something in your house, which has been very helpful in power outages. We've also taken this on vacation when we had little ones that needed like a night light situation, because you can use these in a hotel room for an immediate night light, and it really helps out with little bitties. Lots of fun. Another one that's just kind of a nice stocking stuffer if you're looking for like Christmas ideas are these little LED lights. You can find these at cash registers for like under $5. They're cheap, they're not great lumens, but they are kind of fun to have around. It's great for like a junk drawer, or again, a stocking stuffer for a kid who just likes something a little bit fun. The last one that Gabe had that he's gonna kind of talk to you about the evolution behind these was his first tactical flashlight that he got when he started working as an inspector. It's really nice, like it's really bright lumens, and one of the things he'll talk about are the different levels of beams that you can have at one light. So you can have a really bright light, or you can have a smaller light, and that can be helpful depending on which area you're working in. But this still utilized disposable batteries, which are really expensive. And so I was having to go out and buy big packs of these or try to find them online on sale. And he was just using a ton of these because he uses a flashlight like 100 times in an inspection. So he was really going through the flashlight batteries, and we thought maybe we need to try a rechargeable version. So all of this is because of Gabe's obsession with flashlights. He's always kept us well situated on the flashlight front. My only flashlight, I have one flashlight out of this entire collection, and my flashlight is this one right here. It was given to me by a good friend of ours who's kind of like a grandfather figure, and he's just an amazing person. And I thought, well, if that flashlight works for him, that's probably going to do everything I need it to do. So I love my little flashlight. I've had one for years and it works well for me. Gabe's now going to step in and show you all of his different versions and why they work for him.
So as Erin was saying, this was one of my first tactical flashlights, high lumen basically. The things that we didn't like about it was the battery use and the difficulty in switching from beams based on pushing the button once or pushing it twice. So Call it divine intervention, good luck, whatever. I did an Amazon search for rechargeable flashlights. I knew nothing about them. What came up first was the Phoenix. And ever since I've been a Phoenix fanatic. So this light we call the UC30. It's rechargeable. It operates on multiple brightness schemes. So you can have a low, a medium, a high, and then a turbo. And so it runs all the way up to 1,000 lumens on the high end part of it. The thing that I really loved about this flashlight was it was super durable, rechargeable, so I could use this for almost a week at a time with all the inspection stuff, and then I charged it once a week. The other thing that I love about this flashlight is it can do what you call a tail stand. And so when you're up in an attic working on a furnace or taking a look at a furnace and you have no light because the light bulbs are always burned out, you can set this on top of something and the flashlight illuminates and kind of creates an environment. So this flashlight's amazing, I love it, but the only downfall to this was pushing this button to turn it on and off is a little bit of a learning curve. You have to push and hold it for like a half a second. And so when you do that over and over and over and over again all day long, what I really needed was to go back to the tail switch. So that led me to the next model. Next model was the UC35. The differences between this and the UC30 that we just referenced is this one has the tail switch. So as a home inspector, when you're turning your light on and off, on and off, on and off, that made for a lot easier user experience. The other things that they added to this was a pocket clip, which for me was a big deal because I stick it in my pocket when I don't have my tool belt on me, which was a downfall to the UC30. This one still charges in place, so it's got a port that you charge. So this one and the UC30 both charge with ports, which was really handy. You just come home and put it on a charging cord just like your phone. Really loved this flashlight, and I ended up getting an additional flashlight once we had an assistant come on. When we hired an assistant, we needed another flashlight, obviously. So I went to my favorite website and checked out what they had. This was the next product. It's the PD35. It's really similar to the UC35 that we were discussing previously with a few things that they changed. Number one, they reduced the size of it, which made it a lot easier to hold in your hand, surprisingly. The other thing is the button that switches the different lumen sizes was a little bit sleeker. You could almost say that this flashlight is elegant. Pocket clip still, but the one thing that this changed is it did not have a charging port. So you have to purchase a battery charging kit, essentially. And so you had to charge your battery in this, which is really not that big of a deal. Plus the neat thing about this feature is you can actually plug in a USB cord to this and use one of your Phoenix flashlight batteries to charge your phone. So in, kind of an emergency situation, it was a nice option. The only things that I didn't like about the PD35 was the beam size. The one major difference besides just size in the UC35 and the PD35 was the diameter of the beam. On the left you have the UC35, which has a fairly good spot, if you will. On the right we're going to do the PD35, which has a smaller spot. That gives you a brighter concentrated area, but not as much beam to look. So the UC35 kind of overlaps the PD35. The PD actually stands for, I think, personal defense. So this is intended to be like a tactical flashlight that you could shine in someone's eyes at night, etc. But as an inspector, what we're looking for is a larger spot. But both lights are great. We love them, don't get me wrong, and they're both in our arsenal. The next on the list, before you start judging on how many flashlights I've purchased, please keep in mind two things. Number one, these are used for professional purposes, so there. And secondly, this was a Christmas gift. This is the LDR 15. This is a beautiful flashlight, and I love this thing. Even though it's tiny, it's mighty, and we like the term mighty. This little flashlight has several options. One thing that I like about it is it sits at a right angle, so you can set it on a desk and it's going to illuminate like a workspace that you're on. This has several lighting features. It's got a real small, if you're trying to read something in the dark, like in the movie theater, etc. And then you've got a couple of other lights, brightnesses, a 50, and then it goes up to 150, and this thing even goes all the way up to 500 lumens, which is pretty crazy for a little thing like this. The other option that's cool, and I've never used, it also has a red light, which I guess if you want to keep your night vision in place or something like that, you can also select it, and it does like an emergency flash or even an SOS. So I guess, for hiking or whatever, it's great. The other things that I love about this is it's got a nice pocket clip that has 2 ways. So I've actually hooked this to a hat when I'm trying to do hands-free work, etc. And the other thing that's super cool about this is it's got a magnetic base. So if you can find something magnetic, you can hold it in place. I use this all the time for projects around the house, and I guarantee you this is something I always have. So the most recent addition to my arsenal, if you will, is the PD36R. This flashlight actually jumped up in comparison to the PD36, and really the UC30 and the UC35, they all have the same lumens, with the max being 1,000. This jumped on the scene at 1,600 max, so it's really powerful. They have a larger battery. This actually comes with a 5,000 milliamp battery, whereas these guys, the max you could get was 3,600 or even 2,600. So as far as my UC30, I was almost double the battery, which allowed for quite a bit higher lumens. The thing that I really love about this is it's still pocket size essentially. It's a little bit larger when you kind of compare them side by side. It's hard to see on film, but like actual feel, this one's a tiny bit larger to accommodate that battery. Some of the improvements they made on this is it's got a 2-way body clip, which is just kind of clips to your pocket a lot easier, allows you to clip it this way or that way. This is a fantastic light. The thing that I really love about this light is you cycle through the different lumens, and the high on this one is 800, and then the turbo is 1,600. Whereas the high on this one is 350 and the turbo is 1,000. What you find being an inspector is when you use these flashlights a ton, you don't get that turbo brightness all the time because the light gets super hot and then it actually turns down to the next brightness level. So essentially what we find is you get turbo some of the time, but what you're working with is the high. And so basically what we did with this flashlight is we jumped the amount of light that we use on a daily basis from 350 to 800, and that was a big change and an amazing change. So while I love all these flashlights and they provide all kinds of different options, this one has been an amazing new light to carry. One of the things that I like about this series of 4 is they come with rechargeable batteries, which is what you use 99% of the time, but it's always nice to have that backup. Each of these have battery level indicators, so you know when your battery is starting to get lower and it's time to charge. But in a rare event that you burn all the way through your rechargeable battery, you can use the backup batteries on these flashlights. So that's really a nice thing to have in the back pocket or in your car, etc., if it doesn't get charged exactly. However, with the latest flashlight that they came out with, this has got a really large battery, which is different, and so this has no backup. Again, it's not a problem for me because, as you can see, I've got quite a few backups, but if you're looking to just purchase one flashlight, you've got to consider lots of options and what you're going to use it for. So these are all things to think about and consider. So in closing, there are a lot of options on flashlights, which is why they have so many of them. There is no one size fits all. So even though it may seem kind of funny to talk about all of these different options, if you're using flashlights a lot, there are different things to take into consideration. One of the things that you need to consider is how much money you're going to spend, what you're going to use it for every day, how often, etc. To me, since this was my first, I kind of hold it dear in my heart. But it's one of the best bangs for your buck. I love the tail stand feature. It's rechargeable, it's a good size, so it works great for around the house, backpacking, etc. However, this is not a good tactical flashlight. So if you're wanting to go on walks at night and be able to like turn it on quickly, this is just not the light for you. You're going to want to go with the other different tactical series lights that have the tail switch so that you can turn it on immediately. The PD36 is a fantastic work light. I use this every day in tons of stuff, but it may not quite be as powerful as you might need. So it gets really hot, and you also have to have a special charging cord for this that's different than a lot of the other cords. So there are a few drawbacks to it. The LD is amazing. I can't tell you how often I use this around the house, and it's so small, it's easy to carry, whereas obviously carrying this in your pocket is awkward at times. So you just kind of consider what you're looking for, but there's lots of options, and hey, if you're ever concerned, you can always talk to me about it.
Don't tell Gabe, but I'm sticking with my one flashlight.